Greetings everyone, this is Lucian Vilsan with the Freedom Alternative, broadcasting, or better said speaking from, because this is not a broadcast, from Tel Aviv, Israel. Now, if older subscribers might remember that about 2.5 years ago I made a video about the signatures gathered by a collection of organizations, most of them religious but not all of them, in order to trigger a nationwide referendum in Romania to amend the constitution to define marriage as being exclusively between one man and one woman. That was 2.5 years ago when I made the video. It was almost 3 years when they gathered their signatures. Well, after so long of waiting, now on October the 6th and the 7th, the referendum is taking place. And since the date of the referendum was announced after I had already made the plans for the Jordan-Israeli tour, well, I had to vote at the Romanian embassy, which is to my left, but I cannot show it to you because they say I shouldn't be videotaping, so I am not videotaping. I don't want to get in trouble with the officials of my own country whilst I'm not in my own country. When I'm at home, I'm very happy to get in trouble with the authorities because it's a lot easier to, well, figure it out and manage it. In any event, this is of course just a pretext for me to publish an update. So yeah, yesterday, well, who knows how many days ago by the time you'll be seeing this, but yesterday we drove all the way up to the Golan Heights to meet an Israeli gun rights activist, and this was relevant in my opinion and necessary to take the interview and have it on the channel because the guy has a lot of experience with dealing with European type of cultures, namely cultures that are not so gun friendly as the United States is. So as a result, I wanted to learn from someone who's been successful so far in expanding gun rights in a culture that is fundamentally opposed to civilians owning firearms. So it will be very interesting. I'm looking forward to get back home and get to edit the interview. Now, today in the evening or tomorrow morning, I'm hoping to interview another political activist from here who's very highly experienced in political agitprop. And I'm still hoping to my best to get a hold of Yil Ronen in Jerusalem. I'm going today in Jerusalem. Basically, I came here, voted, and now I'm going straight to Jerusalem after I'm done recording this. I'm hoping to get a hold of Yil Ronen as well to learn more about feminism in Israel and leftist activism in general in Israel, because, you know, there is this mythology that for some reason those kinds of problems don't exist here. They do. And then hopefully I'll get to interview a video blogger that I told you about in the past. Many of you already know him, but I won't say his name still because I don't have the confirmation of the moment when I'll get to meet him, and I don't want to promise and then not be able to deliver, which is a lesson that I've learned the hard way several times. In any event, the reason I haven't been publishing whilst in this tour, but not as often as I wanted to, let me put it this way. In Jordan I didn't have access to proper internet connections. Here I do have access to proper internet connections, but there's just too many things to be done and too little time to do all of them. So, you know, I'm trying, basically I have this trade-off to do. Either I get more footage and get more content as much as possible and postpone the editing and the publishing once I get back to Romania, or I publish more often and edit and try to edit on the road and whatnot, which is not particularly kosher since I'm in Israel. But if I do that, then I'll get less content from this tour, which means less value for the shekel, and in this case literally. So yeah, I'd rather do this. Now, if this had been easier to publish right away, I would have urged the Romanian followers to go to vote in this particularly important, culturally relevant referendum. But since I know that I will be publishing this days after the polls had been closed, so I won't urge anyone to go to vote. I hope you did go to vote, and I hope you voted the right way. Now, one more thing that maybe I should say about this referendum, which I did say 2.5 years ago, but obviously newer subscribers may not be aware of this. It's basically the referendum gets validated if it gets a 30% presence, or what's the word in English, turnout at the polls, because basically the people who will turn out to the polls will probably vote in favor of the amendment, and the left, the cultural left, has argued that maybe those who are against it should just boycott it, so in order to not to get the minimum necessary turnout for the referendum to be validated, which may or may not happen. I have no idea. I haven't been following the news in the country in the last several days because I didn't have the time to do that. So I don't know. Maybe the turnout will not. Maybe the quorum, that's the legal term, will not be fulfilled, which probably will. That's my suspicion. But if it won't, then it won't get validated. But if it is validated and most of the votes are in favor of the amendment, then the Constitution gets amended right away. If most of the votes are against the amendment, obviously the Constitution will not get amended. Same result as a boycott. Now the thing is that if it doesn't get validated, or if most of the votes are against the amendment, which is the least likely possibility, then we don't really lose anything, but in legal terms. But it would be a significant cultural setback, because that would mean that the institutions that we relied upon to keep basically most of the culture into a culturally conservative leaning way are no longer that influential as we thought they were. So yeah, it is mostly culturally significant and less so politically or legislatively speaking significant, because at the end of the day gay marriage is still not allowed in Romania and will not be allowed for any time soon, if ever. They might get civil partnerships eventually, not under this parliament, but maybe next parliament or maybe 2 parliaments from now. But yeah, that's basically what it is. What else I should say probably in this particular log? Oh yeah, the climate here it's slightly colder than in Jordan, but significantly wetter. So as a result, it is well, harder to breathe and harder to walk the streets. I prefer the desert a lot more than I prefer this one, which is closer to the sea. Anyway, with all of that being said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you around. I have a lot of content already gathered from the Jordan-Israeli tour. Cheers.